to Motorsport on 4 from Donington Park for the Powertour series for Formula 3 and GT cars. The big news in the last round at Brands Hatch was the massive accident that left David Warnock receiving medical attention for some time. So David, how are you?
A little bit tender at the moment, but I'm recovering okay.
Now tell me what actually happened.
That's a good question. I mean, I don't remember the last bit, to be honest. I must have had my eyes shut or something, but we obviously had it coming together at the top of paddock. I thought, to be honest, I got away with it at the bottom of the hill, put the car back into first gear, then looked up, and there was just chaos coming down the hill, and I thought, I'm in trouble here, and then I don't remember very much after that.
Well, thanks, Dave. Now time for us to take a quick look at the Formula 3 races from Brands Hatch.
Back to today then, and here we are at Redgate, the first corner at Donington Park. An interesting overtaking place for two reasons. The first reason, you're looking at the corner for a long time as you approach down the long pit straight here. The second reason, the circuit's very wide, and normally the car that you're following and trying to overtake will be well over to the left-hand side here, which is very inviting for you to dive inside him on the brakes and into the apex of the corner. The danger then is the corner is more than the 90 degrees that it looks. It's 120 degree. It tightens up on the exit. So the guy you've just passed and stayed wide can dive back inside you on the exit. So for that reason, this is normally the scene of an incident or two. Now let's get back to a full lap from a driver's point of view. Okay, so here we are rounding the final hairpin to start a new lap with Mike Jordan in his Lister Storm. He's out of there in first gear, a lot of acceleration on the pit straight. The long run down to Redgate corner where we've just been talking. Braking towards the end of the pit road exit, down to third. Very, very important corner for exit speed down the flat-out Craner curves, fastest part of the circuit. Up to fourth, up to fifth. Trying to keep the car to the right. Little lift here, flat in a Formula 3 car. Short braking for the fastest corner on the circuit, the old hairpin, in fourth in this car. Probably 110 miles an hour in an F3 car through there. Again, flat through the left-handers up the hill here. Still flat again. Very short braking for the McLains, down 2 gears. Bumpy at the apex, you see the car bob a little. Third, fourth gear climbing uphill for the blind entry to Coppice. You need to commit the car before you can see the corner. And again, exit speed very important onto the straight. In third, up to fourth, up to fifth. Check your mirrors and see if you need to defend in the braking area for the chicane, which is a left-right just approaching now. Heavy braking, a lot of rubber on the road there. Cut the curve on the inside. Again, bumpy at the apex, you'll struggle for traction. Second gear, third, fourth. Good overtaking spot here. Very short braking in the F3 cars. Diving down the inside there. Melbourne hairpin. First gear, Mike's down to second in most of the cars. You'll struggle for traction on the exit there. You see the car wheel spin. Third, fourth. Again, cover your inside if you've got traffic close behind you. Goddard's hairpin at the end of the lap, bumpy at the apex again, and that's the end of a lap with Mike Jordan.
After their recent performances, it was no surprise to see the Carlin pair back at the top of the timesheets. Sato a quarter of a second faster than Davidson.
You must be all the happier for securing pole position.
It's quite good, yeah. Especially Anthony was second this time. So Team 1 is quite good.
Derek Hayes was back in third, just ahead of his teammate Jeffrey Jones, but he wasn't too disheartened.
Got a bit of help with both stalled at the start now, wouldn't it? Make things quite easy. So no, I'll see what happens. You know, I'll get a good start myself and see where it works out at the first corner.
In the scholarship class, Matthew Gilmore was back on top for the first time since Donington in April.
I had a win at Castlecombe not so long ago, but I'm glad to be on pole so I can start from the front.
Well done.
Thank you.
In the championship class, 2 from Carlin at the front, followed by 2 from Manor, then Jimmy Bruni from Vortec, and Avanti's Matt Davis.
In scholarship, Justin Sherwood's second place was his best of the season, while series leader Robbie Kerr was back in third, followed by Michael Kierhan.
Back in April, Jaguar driver André Lotterer scored a win and a second place here at Donington from 2 pole positions. It was 10 races till the next Jaguar pole in round 16 at Brands Hatch, and today they're both starting from the back of the top 10. Is this going to bring them any better fortune? Ben and Martin can tell us.
Well, a win might be a tall order. They're back in 7th and 9th today. Takuma Sato on pole by a quarter of a second from teammate Anthony Davidson. There were mixed fortunes at Brands for the Carlin team. Could they go for a 1-2 here today? We'll have to wait and see. The revs are rising. The cars on the grid ready to go as the tension mounts. Under threatening skies, away they go. No stall from Takuma Sato. Derek Hayes will be disappointed. Riding with André Lotterer from 7th place down the inside of Matt Davis. In behind Jeffrey Jones, Gianmaria Bruni just in front of them. So Lotterer's picked up 1 from the grid. Sato leads them down the hill. Davidson second, Hayes in third. Then Bruni, Jones, Lotterer, Ryan Dalziel, the lime green car next up, Matt Davis, and then Giovanni and Courtney. They're 8th, 9th and 10th. Bottom end of the top 10 for James Courtney in the second Jaguar.
On board here with Matt Gilmore, pole position sitter in the scholarship class. He's chasing after Alex Gurney. They've got this tricky braking into McLean's. On the curve, you can see him controlling the car. There's drama on the left there. Somebody's off in the gravel track as Gilmore gets past.
Well, that's Matt Davis. He's stuck in the gravel. James Courtney in the Jaguar as well. And it looks as though they're both there for the duration. They'll have to bring the trucks in to drag them out. Carlin Motorsport cars leading, Manor Motorsport third, but the Vortec car of Jimmy Bruni in 4th place, splitting those 2 Manor Motorsport drivers. And then Ryan Dalziel back in 7th. There's Mark Taylor with pressure from behind from Jamie Spence. And a big bunch of scholarship class cars. They really are very close together indeed as Davidson goes for the inside line. Oh, and contact with Takuma Sato. Now, will they both survive undamaged, Ben? That looks as though it could have long-reaching consequences.
Yes, indeed. They were lucky to get away with it, but there could be damage there. We're on board with Derek Howe, and there's more drama up at Goddard's.
Well, there is Kazuki Hoshino. That's Justin Sherwood, who was second in class, and there Partiva Sureshwaran. But somebody's lost a wheel, somebody's lost a nose. There are cars all over the circuit. We may yet see the safety car out. Still, it looks as though Sato and Davidson are unharmed. And Jimmy Bruni in 4th, shaping up to pass Derek Hayes, rather than Hayes trying to take advantage of that tangle between the Carlin pair. Well, that's bad luck for Derek Hayes. If they had tangled each other off the track, he could have been in the race lead by now, and that would have made a difference. There's Kazuki Hoshino, the 3rd Carlin car. Partiva Sureshwaran stalking away. Ben, let's take a look at this one again.
Yeah, this was the first lap. Let's see what we can see. Matt Davis coming into shot sideways already. Contact had been made between himself and James Courtney in the Jaguar, and the 2 of them spinning out wide, taking Bruce Giovanni with them. That's Giovanni in the yellow car. He didn't have anywhere to go, so he was forced wide.
Sato leads down to the Melbourne hairpin again. Anthony Davidson goes inside, gets 2 wheels up on the curb on the inside to avoid contact. He must avoid taking his teammate off. Trevor Carlin wouldn't like that very much. Now Sato with the inside line as they come down to Goddard's, the last corner on the lap, and he leads them once more across the line. Well, Trevor Carlin will be watching this one with interest, I'm sure. This is a very spirited performance from Davidson. Last championship races at Castlecombe, he dominated completely. Sato blamed his lack of form on a sick engine. I wonder if that's the situation here, because the last time they raced in the non-championship supporter to the British Grand Prix, Sato finished 6 seconds ahead of Davidson. And I'm sure Carlin will be talking to his drivers to tell them to calm down. And I'm sure that John Booth at Manor Motorsport will be talking to Derek Hayes to tell him to speed up a little bit. Further back, André Lotterer in the Jaguar with James Courtney out now. Jaguar's only hopes of success here ride with Lotterer. Down the inside of Jeffrey Jones. Nice little flick there, Ben. I think he caught him by surprise.
Yeah, that was a great move. But look, he's come back. Jeffrey Jones back up the inside again as they come up towards Coppice Corner. So he retakes that place. And this is one of Jeffrey Jones' best races to date, I would say. Back on board with André Lotterer. He's got to do it all over again. And he might have a bit of a run here down into the S's. They are hard on the brakes. He's not close enough. And so Jeffrey Jones leads them through the left and right. and now it's out of here. You can see Jones got a bit sideways there, and that will give Lotterer the opportunity here to just drag past him down to the Melbourne hairpin.
Well, as Kelvin Burt pointed out earlier, almost every overtaking position here at Donington Park gives your rival a chance to get back. The corners are so long and fast and wide here. There's James Courtney, ruining what might have been perhaps, and Matt Davis as well. I think both of them would have liked to have gone a little bit further than the halfway round the first lap. Down the inside, here we go. Now, can Jeffrey Jones come back inside him? Yes, he can. Jeffrey Jones looking through Hollywood, and it'll be, oh, 2 wheels on the grass. André Lotterer didn't want to leave the door open, and in fact, although it looked as though Jones had a good shot at getting that position back, Lotterer was wise to that. Don't forget, André won his only race for Jaguar here in April, so he knows the circuit well, how to defend and how to be aggressive. There's Ryan DL chasing in 7th place as Jones drops down to 6th. And from 4th on the grid, he's lost 2 places. Derek Hayes, 3rd on the grid, still 3rd. Sato from pole leads Davidson, who started in 2nd place. 1/4 of a second faster in practice. Sato looks to have that sort of advantage now, but a lock-up from Davidson, that's a big mistake. Derek Hayes ready to capitalise. Nicely through the S's. He's got the inside line down to the Melbourne hairpin. He's well ahead now. Davidson won't come back. In fact, Davidson doesn't make it round the corner. Locked up and went straight on as Jimmy Bruni went right by him. This is André Lotterer, who's in 5th place. Anthony Davidson right in front of him. Now, maybe that is a knock-on effect from that first lap contact. Davidson definitely in big brake trouble, and he's barely making it round the corners at all. In fact, Ben, I think his steering may have seized.
It's all over, isn't it, for Anthony Davidson? That's a great disappointment. Let's take a look back here at that initial contact between them. That was Davidson hitting the inside of Sato. There is where the damage was done, I think, for Davidson. The question still is, I think, about Sato, because he's not pulling away as we might have expected him to.
Well, he was bounced up in the air and back down again. Maybe that's made some changes to the gearbox or damaged the car in some way that we can't quite see. I'm sure he knows that he can feel a big difference. Sato still leads. Derek Hayes now starting to wake up a little bit. He's got a sniff of something going on. He's right on Sato's tail. Of course, he's got Jimmy Bruni right behind as they stream down the straight, as we see Hayes towing up behind Sato. Sato's on the inside defending hard, but he's in brake trouble as well now. That's really bizarre. Jimmy Bruni right behind, also with a sniff perhaps of something here. And the Fortec driver in that new brown and orange colour scheme, looking a revitalised man here. He's got an eye on a podium position and maybe much more. Sato runs very wide as we watch from André Lotterer. He slides out of the hairpin, doesn't get good drive, but Bruni did. And Sato desperate under brakes. Hayes goes wide, Bruni to the inside. Gianmaria Bruni looking for 2nd place, wheel to wheel with Derek Hayes. Will there be contact here? No, somehow they avoid it. Hayes on the curbs and on the grass. He's got the drive down the inside. Lotterer's going with him. Lotterer, he's going to make it 3 abreast into the first corner. Close your eyes, everybody. This is some ride. Back to Derek Hayes. Lotterer gets 2nd place. Hayes still in 3rd, and Sato looks to have recovered his composure. He's starting to ease away.
Yes, just a little bit, but look at the... Oh, and look at that, the shock absorber cover off Derek Hayes' car. That won't really affect performance, but he's passed by Bruni. Bruni gets past him as they go down to the old hairpin. That will make just a little difference to the aerodynamics, but won't really slow Derek Hayes down as we watch him now approaching McLean, and after challenging for the lead, he now finds himself in 4th.
Well, John Booth, not entirely happy, I should think, with the progress of the Manor Motorsport cars. It's been all backwards. André Lotterer, winner here in April, looking for the lead from Takuma Sato. And Sato has certainly had his fair share of races here at Donington Park. Oh, Lotterer's in trouble! His engine stuttering there on the rev limiter as he missed a gear and couldn't find another one. Lotterer's missing gears. Sato can't brake properly. And right in the middle, Jimmy Bruni, the only man in the top 3 with a healthy car. Lotterer really struggling for grip out of that hairpin again. And it looks as though Derek Hayes may come back again. Sato locks up. But Jimmy Bruni must be rubbing his hands with glee, because he can see that he's the only man in the top 3 or 4 who has got the presence of mind and the car under him to actually move forward. Hayes being chased by Jones behind. Again, Sato locks up, Ben. He's really, really in trouble here.
Yeah, he's really struggling. The Japanese driver up front, and he's doing his best to hold on here, but Jimmy Bruni can sense an opportunity. He knows Sato's in trouble here. He comes down into the old hairpin. Sato locking up again. He's in serious trouble with that car. Loses 2nd place as well to André Lotterer, and Sato can no longer hold on to it. Jimmy Bruni is in front.
Well, it'll be interesting to see just how much Sato can retard his slip down the order as Derek Hayes goes for 3rd. He gets it as well. Sato, well, as soon as he has a major lock-up and flat spots one of his tyres, every time he hits the brake, it'll flat spot again. And look at this, the Fortec team have found out that their driver is in the lead. They're jubilant. Jeffrey Jones going past Sato. They're queuing up to have a go now at the championship front runner. 60 points in the lead of the series. He may be, but look at that. DL and Spence right behind. Jamie Spence goes by Ryan DL under braking, and Spence from 15th on the grid. That's an astonishing charge up the order. Sato gets passed by Jeffrey Jones, but I don't think he'll give up.
No, Sato's still holding on, but there's definitely something wrong with that car, as we saw. He keeps locking up, and it's always the same tyre. Look, again, it's that right front, and that could indicate that the left rear is a bit soft. The corner weights are all off, and it could be that he's got a puncture with that. It could be that left rear that's causing him trouble. Let's take another look at what happened to Derek Hayes. He was trying to cover Bruni, and then all of a sudden, André Lotterer got down the inside and managed to snatch that second place away before they all started going past Sato.
Well, Hayes managed to hold off Fortec driver Jimmy Bruni then, but not since, nor did Lotterer, and the team waiting for their man to come round to the checkered flag. He's raced with them now last year and this year in Formula 3. Last year he was 5th in the championship. He was lying 8th before this race in this year's season. Seemed at Brands Hatch when Tim Harvey spoke to him that his season might be going off the boil. The Renault engine looks a little stronger here though. He beat last year's Formula 3 champion Antonio Pizzonia in the Formula Renault Euro Cup the previous year, but no success in F3 until now. The checkered flag for Jimmy Bruni. He takes his first ever Formula 3 victory at Donington Park. The team are delighted, and maybe this will be a new look to the championship with Fortec getting in amongst the winners.
Sato coming through to finish in 12th place. No points for him. It's a great shame after a gutsy drive.
Right behind him, top of the picture, Michael Keohan just winning the scholarship class from Robbie Kerr. Well, Bruni wins, but perhaps Lotterer could have done apart from that misgear, and Derek Hayes, well, who knows what might else have happened for him.
Keohan takes the win in the scholarship class ahead of Robbie Kerr, and Matt Gilmore, the pole sitter, only finishing in 3rd.
Was that your dad?
Yeah, my dad. We won, said.
Was he as happy as you are? Was he very proud?
Yeah. So I'm very happy. Thank you again for Renault and all my mechanics. Thank you.
Oh, bless you. Well done.
Yeah, I'm very happy because I started from 7th, but I was behind Taku, and then I stuck on the limiter and Bruni passed me, and I had quite a big advantage, so I think I could have won it at that moment quite easily, but anyway, 2nd is a good place.
I'm disappointed because I had my chance there to win my 2nd race. I basically took the wrong side of Sato and Bruni got me, and that was that. I go down Craners, then I lost my front nose cover. So from that point onwards, I was still pushing hard, and I think I had definitely the pace to win, but not today, obviously.
Oh, delighted. Thrill for the team and everybody that worked so hard to put all this together.
Well done.
Thanks.
Well, round 17 was an absolutely thrilling race. Can round 18 be any better? Find out after the break.
Welcome back to Motorsport on 4 from Donington Park in round 18 of the British Formula 3 Championship. Well, before we get to that, you think this is easy? Think again. We'll take a look at the first lap from the viewpoint of one of the drivers.
On board, Matt Gilmore. Scholarship class pole sitter, started 17th on the grid. Let's watch it from the start. Not a great getaway. Rob Austin on the outside in the white car, managing to get off the grid a bit better. So Matt tries to get down on the brakes into Redgate, tries to take the place back, can't do it. Robbie Kerr goes round the outside of him, and that's Alex Gurney just ahead, the American, in the blue and yellow car. Now, where is Robbie Kerr? Matt's main rival in the scholarship class. There he is, on the inside. So he has to give way a little bit there, down to the old hairpin. Kerr's got the inside, and Matt Gilmore just drives right round the outside of him and retakes the lead in the class. That's great stuff, a brave piece of overtaking. Now they're heading up towards McLean's corner, and if we remember, there was an incident a little bit ahead of Gilmore here. Watch him come into the corner. Now he gets a bit held up. Gurney slows down, and there goes Michael Keohan coming past him on the outside. That's a great move as he takes the lead in the scholarship class. So now our driver, Matt Gilmore, is in 2nd. Look on the outside, Rob Austin being squeezed out wide. Michael Keohan going past Alex Gurney. Oh, and he squeezes him onto the grass. Matt Gilmore's therefore given a nice clear run down towards the S's, but Keohan's on the inside. That's the favourable position. Gilmore has to slot in behind him. As Kiesa looks up, oh, and there goes Gurney back past him, so Gilmore didn't get the braking right. Alex Gurney gets past, and this is frantic stuff on the opening lap at Donington Park. Now there's a car on his inside, just saw a nose cone there, and it's Robbie Kerr trying to get back past him, and he's done it. Down the inside, Matt Gilmore is down to third, and that's in fact how they end up finishing in the scholarship class, with Gilmore third, Kerr second, Kiesa the winner.
There seems to be some controversy at Donington Park over Gianmaria Bruni's engine.
Talk to me about Renault engines.
Talk to you about Renault engines. Was in the back of the car that Bruni won with.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there's an issue there which needs clarification by the FIA. If I hadn't have raised that issue, I wouldn't be doing my job properly.
But it's not performance based. The protest is purely red tape in that they're saying that Renault haven't got their paperwork in order for the homologation. But it's a matter that Renault can fix, I'm sure, and hopefully in a couple of days we'll see an outcome which is favourable for Jimmy.
At the present moment in time, I suppose all results are provisional. I don't know. That's about as much as I can say, really. It's very difficult.
Back on track, Jaguar's André Lotterer recovered most of the form that got him double poles back in April. He was fast enough to take second.
I mean, this morning I was 7th, so we were not quite happy, but now I'm 2nd, so it's better. It's a shame I couldn't do it in the morning, so...
Sato showed an amazing turn of speed to take pole by nearly half a second. In the April round, Matt Davis had out-qualified Sato. This time he was happy to be 4th.
Now for the last 3 races that I've been in, not including Brands of course, I haven't qualified in the top 10, so it's a slight return to form.
In the scholarship class, normal service was resumed with Robbie Kerr on pole position, Matthew Gilmore second, but Justin Sherwood hung on to take third place in the class.
Yeah, it's fantastic really, but we were quick in the test on Thursday and we made 1 or 2 changes to the car, and yeah, it's great performance racing.
In the championship class then, Sato takes his first double pole of the season ahead of Lotterer, Davidson and Davis. Mark Taylor pushing Derek Hayes down to 6th.
The top 3 were shuffled slightly in the scholarship class, with first race winner Michael Kierhan back in 6th, behind Inani Judis and Mark Mayle.
Well, starting from pole position didn't help Takuma Sato in the first race this weekend. Will he have better fortunes in the second? Let's take a look at the highlights of round 18.
After stalling at Brands, Sato was not complacent about the start, but it was teammate Davidson who hit problems, stalling as Mark Taylor electrifyingly got away behind him, slotting into 3rd place behind André Lotterer, but ahead of Matt Davis. Davidson was not a happy man.
Not very good. I stalled and then I had to bump it again, and then had to do another start, so not too good, not very happy at all.
At the start of lap 3, Mark Taylor took André Lotterer for 2nd place by diving down the inside into Redgate and holding on. But Taylor was soon to be handed a stop-go penalty for this jump start, just like at Castle Combe.
Another car judged to have jumped the start was Andy Priaulx's number 18 machine. He was passed by the recovering Anthony Davidson, who dropped to 11th at the end of lap 1.
Meanwhile, Jimmy Bruni demonstrated how to pass at Redgate, as Kelvin Burt explained earlier. In this case, Derek Hayes fought back and managed to hold his place on the exit.
On lap 3, Japanese Atsushi Katsumata went off at Coppice, dropping from 12th to 26th.
By lap 12, Anthony Davidson had charged up to 6th and then passed the defensive Hayes at Redgate, starting wide and powering out ahead, just as Hayes had held back Bruni.
André Lotterer's hopes were dented when Bruce Giuani went by at the old hairpin, the Frenchman making up 4 places to finish 3rd.
Just ahead, Matt Davis was enjoying his best result since Oulton Park, also passing Lotterer for 2nd place.
It's been quite a while since I've been on the podium. All the money worries behind me, and we've done a bit of work with the car, and it's a lot better this weekend, although it's quite hard to drive in that race, but the car's been good this weekend, and hopefully onwards and upwards from here.
In the scholarship class, Michael Kyohan made up 4 places on lap 1 to take 2nd behind Robbie Kerr.
Robert Doornbos couldn't sustain this pass of Matt Gilmore for 4th behind Inani Judis.
At the flag, Kerr was nearly 8 seconds ahead.
We've got to be happy with that. We only finished 2nd in the first and to have the win with the fastest lap again, maximum points, so bigger lead in the championship.
So Kerr and Kierhan shared a 1st and 2nd at Donington, with Judis 3rd ahead of Gilmore, Doornbos and Mayle. After his long period at the top, Matt Gilmore's challenge seems to be fading against the Kerr onslaught. Michael Keohan gets closer in third.
Takuma Sato won the championship race at a canter, 3 seconds up in 2 laps, 10 ahead by the end. The Carlin crew was suitably relieved after problems in race 1.
In the beginning of race, I had a really good feeling because obviously tyre wasn't flat out today, well this time, so happy.
A 9th win for Sato from Davis, Giovanni, Lotterer, Davidson and a disappointingly lacklustre Derek Hayes. And Sato now boasts a 63-point lead over Hayes. James Courtney under threat from Anthony Davidson for 3rd, Jimmy Bruni up to 6th. Well then, busy race. What really caught your eye?
Well, Takuma Sato was a star again, but in a different way this time. He had to fend off the opposition with a car that wasn't working properly. He had a punctured left rear, and as a result of that, he kept locking up that right front, and he still kept them behind with a masterly display of car control and determination. In the end, he couldn't stay in the points, but he certainly tried hard. Another point to watch out for in this second race was Mark Taylor's performance. He moved past Matt Davis and André Lotterer racing hard. Unfortunately, this jump start at the beginning of the race cost him any chance of getting a really good podium result. He's a strong racer, an aggressive racer, but he needs to control himself at the start of the races.
So many congratulations to Jimmy Bruni, but it does look like Takuma Sato is running away with the championship. Now time for the GTs, and we'll start by taking a quick look back at their race from Brands Hatch.
Qualifying at Donington Park brought the usual 3-car battle for honours in the GT category. And it was Mike Jordan who seized pole for Lister, only the 2nd time that's happened this season.
Yeah, the car's absolutely amazing this morning. It's really, really good. Just need to work on a little bit of the slow corner traction. Now I think the car's in good shape, but we're just trying to improve its slow corner traction a bit, but very pleased.
Tim Harvey in the Viper couldn't find the magic to repeat his earlier pole position at Donington.
We just weren't fast enough today. I don't know why. We had quite a good test here the other day, but the track seems to have changed and everyone else seems to be slow apart from the Lister, which is faster, so they must be cheating. I can't understand it.
One for the lawyers, I think. TVR in a similar boat, not as fast as they had been before the race weekend.
We had a really good test day, and I think we were expecting to go quite well today, but for some reason, maybe because of the rain since the test day, the car's not handling the same at all, so a bit of a head scratching going on.
In GTO, the TVR Porsche battle was resolved in favour of Porsche, but it was Ed Horner in the 2nd Palm Motorsport car on pole.
Yeah, pleased with that. I didn't really feel I got a fantastic lap, but obviously it was good enough.
Now, Edward obviously put in a fantastic lap there.
He did, yeah. Well, as I say, we know what the pace the car can do, but it's a matter of finding a clear lap.
Right, I'm not happy.
Why?
Because we're behind the Beatles, or one of them.
But it's not even the #1 car.
Well, it does show that the more amateur drivers seem to have pulled it out the bag, doesn't it? Good one for the amateurs, yeah, like to see that.
Most fast times were set in the morning. In the 2nd session, Ed Horner lost it through the Craner curves.
Well, it looks a lot worse with these cars when you've actually hit something. And we didn't really go in very hard. The gravel slowed the car down quite a lot, so I'm sure the guys will fix it. It's just disappointing, you know, to have given them the work to do.
And are you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine, yeah, I'm absolutely fine.
Then Marino Franchitti, joint championship leader in the GTO class, collided with the new Atomic Kitten Corvette being driven by Roger Walters, the first appearance in the series for this car in 2001.
He was way off line coming up into Coppice and I was flashing my lights anyway.
and I was alongside him, and I don't know what happened, but as you can see, the damage is on my left rear, so...
Oh, some stupid guy in a Porsche. We were just coming down the straight. I gave him room, and he just went whack into the side of me. I was on the straight, wasn't even coming out the bend.
The GT grid read Lister, Viper, TVR, then the two GT2 Porsches and the Ultima, 5 seconds off the pace.
In GTO, the leading Tuscan R split the two Power Porsches, while the second Tuscan in fifth split two of the Eurotech Porsches.
Welcome back to Motorsport on 4, and before the GT race, a little diversion. Formula Fords and Fiestas are a regular part of the Powertour package, and here at Donington, I'm having a go in a Fiesta, courtesy of Maxi Jazz. It should be fun.
Amanda gets all the good jobs, doesn't she? Well, 4 ladies racing as part of the Fiesta support race. Vicky Butler-Henderson from Top Gear, our own Amanda Stretton, and ITV's Louise Goodman joining Fiesta racer Helen Moore. Well, Amanda's race, chasing Maxi Jazz, the car owner, took a little turn for the worse as she tried to emulate his crashing skills through the old hairpin. Louise Goodman's done a bit of rally driving in her time, although you'd never have guessed it from that shot, would you? Top Gear's Vicky Butler-Henderson confined her activities to the tarmac, enjoying several spirited dices on her way to 10th overall, fastest of the women, and the most important thing, £250,000 raised for Macmillan Cancer Relief.
Fantastic end, great.
Onto the GT race, and the day began badly for Par Motorsport, with both their cars being sent to the back of the grid. Franchitti for clobbering the Corvette, and Horner because Turner hadn't practiced before the accident.
Well, both Par cars will have their work cut out for them this weekend. The field coming around the hairpin, led by the Viper of Rob Wilson, but Dave Warnock in the Lister starts from pole position. Red lights are on. They get the green finally, but already the front row accelerating away from Bobby Burden Row with the Speed 12 third on the grid down the inside, and Callum Lockie in the GT2 Porsche, the turquoise car, trying to get in between the 3 black machines. Lockie in danger, being squeezed out. Kelvin Burt on board into the first corner right at the back of the field. Everybody through safely though.
With his teammate Matt Turner just ahead, and the Mantis of Ben McLaughlin just ahead of him there on the left. In fact, Kelvin Burt squeezes past, and this is the beginning of Kelvin Burt's opportunity to make up the ground with these two starting at the back. Another one passed on the way down to the old hairpin.
Rob Wilson in the Viper. He's got the lead. Well, they've got further than at Brands Hatch. They survived the first corner, and riding over the curbs with full tanks and cold tyres. The Lister second, TVR third, Callum Lockie fourth in the turquoise Porsche, Rob Barr fifth, leading GTO in the Tuscan R.
Riding with Kelvin Burt now as he's still trying to make up ground, going past Ollie Wilkinson's Marcos, co-driven that car by Charlie Butler-Henderson, brother to Vicky Butler-Henderson we saw out in that Fiesta race. And Matt Turner still also making up ground. There goes Rob Wilson. He's pulled out a bit of a lead, and watch Bobby Burden Rowe now attacking for second place.
Bobby had a good run down the straight. He was right behind the Lister coming into the S's there, Fogarty's S's they're called nowadays, and down the inside he goes. But classic Kelvin Burt manoeuvre there, as pointed out earlier by Kelvin. The Lister coming back on the inside. It's so wide there are so many opportunities to go inside and to lose it. But Bobby Burden Rowe holds on, and at the apex, I didn't think the Lister was going to make it, because it looked as though Callum Lockie was coming deep inside Dave Warnock there.
Well, there's the battle going on a little bit behind the GTO Porsche. Sean Balfe leading David Jones and Adam Jones. Second and third go through at Redgate, then Callum and Rob Barth going through. And here's another battle with the Ferrari of Marco Attard leading the Marcos of Mike Newton. Kelvin Burt is in the middle of all that lot in the white Porsche.
Well, Kelvin's made up 10 places, one of them because Neil Cunningham has come into the pits in the GT2 Porsche, but at McLean's, Andy Purvis spins out. He's on the grass. He hasn't done any damage to the car, I don't think, hasn't hit anybody. Returning to the series with the NCK Marcus. On board with the GTO class leader, Rob Barr, 5th place overall. Callum Lockie ahead in the other GT2 Porsche, and it looks as though Callum is slowing dramatically. He did this earlier in the season at Donington. He had an engine problem here when the fan belt or something came loose, I seem to recall, and it looks as though the GTO car is looking for a way by into 4th.
Yeah, surprisingly slow Callum was out of the S's. Now he seems to be back on the pace a little bit, and Rob Barth not quite getting the opportunity to go past. Meanwhile, you can see Steve Stocco there getting down the inside, so Stocco taking advantage in the third GT2 Porsche.
He's showing that car with Rob Scholl, just kicks up the dirt on the outside. He's certainly got the pace, so there is something wrong with Callum Lockie and Dave Eltz's turquoise car. Drops down to 5th place anyway, even though the Tuscan didn't get by him.
So Callum Lockie struggling that little bit, but watch Rob Wilson up front in the Viper. He's really chucking the car around and has opened up quite a healthy advantage over the TVR in 2nd. Dave Warnock dropping back a little bit in 3rd.
Yes, he's been a second a lap or so slower than his contemporaries. Kelvin Burt hasn't. Look at this, he's now right up with the GTO class leaders. And as we go through Hollywood and down the Craner curves, one of the Eurotech Porsches right in front of him.
Yes, that's Sean Balfe just ahead of the number 77 car, and Kelvin Burt has a little think about the outside. There's not the space there, so now he looks for a good exit out of the old hairpin. Still not quite enough room, but we might see a move here as he comes up towards McLean. So you can get up the inside of people, watch for him go to the outside, then cut back to the inside. He's trying it, and he's found space. Only just, there's contact between them, and he pushes Balfe wide and gets through.
Big enough for a motorcycle, not quite large enough for the Porsche. There was contact there, but if Rob Wilson's chucking the car around, then Kelvin Burt certainly is as well. Big handfuls of opposite lock. Further ahead, there you can see the Tuscan dicing for position with David Jones. Richard Stanton gets by before they get to the braking at Fogarty's S's. That's the 2nd class in GTO. And Adam Jones right behind, no relation at all, also sizing him up. Kelvin Burt there, wagging the tail out of the S's. Down to the Melbourne hairpin. Adam Jones on the inside now of David. He'll go past. And Amanda is with Kelvin's team manager.
What on earth have you put in his team?
Well, the car's been really good over the weekend, and we were very happy with the setup. And it all depended on really how we worked through the traffic, and as you've seen, a little marginal work, and we're really pleased, obviously. It's a long way to go, and motor racing can really turn on you, so I'm not going to get too happy.
Well, Kelvin's taking a few chances out there and certainly sticking his nose down. Now he's into Redgate and getting past another one. That puts him 3rd in class. I could say that perhaps some of the other drivers could be defending a little more aggressively than they are. Having said that, Kelvin's taking every opportunity that he's given.
Well, the formerly white Porsche has now got several different colours of paint on it as well, so Kelvin is taking opportunities, and they might also argue a couple of liberties, but that's entirely the way you make up places. You don't go after you Claude and get up the field. Now for 2nd in the GTO class, Kelvin Burt right behind Richard Stanton in the Tuscan and just Rob Balfe's Tuscan out front. He's about 5 seconds up the road, so Richard Stanton could do with holding up Kelvin Burt here. Of course, that's rather easier said than done.
Yes, let's watch Kelvin's attack here. Now, does he go for the inside, the left-hand side for the S's? Of course, that should be defended by Richard Stanton. It is, although Kelvin does see a gap, and he does go for the inside. So once again, cars ahead of him not really defending as well as you might have expected, and Kelvin is now into 2nd in class.
Well, I wonder, you couldn't quite see in the mirror, but maybe Kelvin just closed his eyes and went in there. That was a great move, though, in all seriousness. He knows his way around here. Richard Stanton now under pressure from Adam Jones. Big lockups further back. David Jones just holds it together, but Adam Simmons spins, or half spins. Through goes Andy Purvis, and Adam will rejoin behind him.
Up front, meanwhile, Rob Wilson is still in control of this race. The gap varying between 3 and 4 seconds between himself and the TVR, and still working that car very hard. Just watch it as he climbs up the hill towards Coppice Corner. This is where they come onto the longest straight, and you can see the car really working through this double apex right-hander as he gets the power on. Watch that back end sliding around.
Well, Ben, they lost the race here that they were leading comfortably with tyre problems in the spring. The team think that they have sorted the setup to avoid that. I wonder if driving it that aggressively might bring those problems back. Bobby Verden-Rowe, headlights ablaze in 2nd place, and he is starting to catch now. It's a little early for tyre problems to be the reason for that. I think Bobby's really got his head down and charging.
Yes, he's going well in the big TVR, coming down into the Melbourne hairpin here. Very tight corner, hard to get on the power. Meanwhile, Steve Stocco is in 4th place, nearly 20 seconds back.
Well, the GT2 Porsche getting better, but still no front-running car.
Let's take a look at what happened to Adam Simmons earlier. David Jones dead ahead, locks up, and Simmons just hits it, basically. Can't get out of the way, that spins him around. And then he has to wait for Andy Purvis to go through before he can rejoin.
Richard Stanton sliding down the GTO order now. He has got Curtis Hales behind in the GTO Viper. That's the sister car to the Rob Wilson machine that's leading the race. And Stanton has dropped to 10th place now overall from 7th. Matt Turner behind them. And then Ed Sharp in the GT class car, the Ultimate, the little silver machine you can see behind, but Curtis Hales just too quick on the power out of the S's, spins the car around. That will lose a lot of time.
Well, he gets back onto the track, that's good news. Meanwhile, his teammate, the race leader overall, Rob Wilson, coming into the pits. He's followed by Gavin Pickering, who is a lap down, and oh, look in the background, the Lister Storm coming in as well. So Dave Warnock coming in, Bobby Burton-Rowe is our race leader.
Well, Steve Hyde comes back out. He's taken over the Tuscan R from Richard Stanton. As the Viper comes to a halt, Tim Harvey ready to get in, taking over from Rob Wilson. Rob helps shove him into the cockpit, and Dave Warnock comes to a halt at the Lister team.
Mike Jordan all set to jump in that driver's seat, and he does so, the team helping him as much as possible, get those belts on, get the radio connected, and send him on his way. That was very, very fast, just under 10 seconds. Brilliant stop from the Lister Storm.
Brilliant drive from Kelvin Burt, brings him into contention and into the lead of the GTO class. He takes the lead from Rob Barth at Goddard's. The Porsche a second a lap quicker than anything in the category up until now. What a great recovery from that disadvantage at the start. And of course, he now leads the GTO class, yet to stop. Lister have, and Amanda's with David Warnock.
So, David, how was it?
I've got some problems with my ribs, to be honest, through the chicane and through the Craner curves. So I'm struggling a little bit, but I'm okay.
And you just handed the car over to Mike. Everything all right?
Yeah, the car's feeling good. We've got a little bit of understeer to onto the fast stuff, but the car feels good.
Good stuff, thanks.
So everything looking good for Mike Jordan. Let's see what he can do on the chase of the TVR. Bobby Burton-Rowe still out there at the moment. Meanwhile, in the pits, Matt Turner has brought the Porsche in, and that's Ed Horner who's going to take that car over.
New tyre on the left rear, clearly wearing that tyre a lot, having started from the back and perhaps pushing a little harder than normal. Maybe Kelvin Burt will have a similar problem in his car as well. Bobby Burton-Rowe in the TVR yet to stop, still leading the race. Interestingly, although Dave Warnock said he was suffering, he was lapping quicker than the Speed 12. That's pretty impressive against Bobby Burton-Rowe.
Heading down the hill through the Craner curves, you can really hear that engine working hard. Not quite flat down here on the throttle. They have to lift just a little bit and then through the old hairpin. Meanwhile, problems for David Dove and his Marcos. That's looking very steamy.
Yeah, I don't think Bill Tully will get a drive. They were last but one, and now they're out of the race. Mike Jordan really on a mission here, having taken over the Lister Storm in third place, lapping in 1:35s, as Dave Warnock had been, passes Ben McLaughlin's Marcus on the rise up to Coppice, and then safely through. Ahead of him, the second place GT2 Porsche, that's Steve Stocco, yet to stop and hand it over to team boss Rob Shirl.
Into the pits comes Shane Lynch, the boys' own star, leaping out, and Shane Bland getting in. They were lying in 14th place before the stop. That was 8th in GTO, and they were the leading Marcos Mantis before this stop, so they're trying to hold on to that position.
Well, Kelvin Burt still leading the GTO class overall, and Rob Barth, well, Rob Barth's still with him. Now, I really thought Kelvin might have pulled away a little bit, but Barth is still there. The 44 car is a lap down on them. That's not well, it's not battling for second place in GTO yet. That's Nigel Albon, but he is certainly trying to get past Rob Barth. And so Rob's got a little battle on his hands there as well. Kelvin Burt, though, still yet to hand over to Marino Franchitti, and the Tuscan to change as well.
Michael Caine waiting to take over that lead TVR. 31 seconds up on Mike Jordan. Can they do a quick stop? We know how fast it was for the Lister Storm. Under 10 seconds it was. It's a little bit more difficult in this TVR. You can see the roll cage getting in the way of fitting the belt, and the time is ticking away. This is a slower stop. That's more like 15 seconds. They've lost some 5 seconds on the pit stop to the Lister Storm, and you can tell Bobby Burton-Rowe not that happy about it.
Well, the Lister Storm is ahead of them, and stalling the engine halfway through didn't help either. So Michael Caine with work to do versus former teammate Mike Jordan. These two know each other and trust each other very well indeed. But this could be a grandstanding finish. In comes the GTO leader as well. Marino Franchitti will have to watch out for errant Corvettes if he's going to win this one.
Yes, Marino Franchitti jumping into the car, and they are fitting a new left rear on this, just like they did with Matt Turner's car, but they're doing it very quickly, and I don't think they've lost any time, same amount of time to get Marino, well, just a little bit to get the clip in there, and then eventually Marino gets away.
Well, as he does so, along comes Martin Short on the straight, about to take the lead in GTO. They changed the previous lap. Amanda's with Kelvin Burt.
Kelvin, donking drive.
So much traffic all over the place.
picked your way through it anyway.
There was a little ding to the front of the car. Was that part of the traffic?
Yeah, one of them thought it was smart to swerve into me on a straight and stop me from overtaking, so that's the damage there.
But an amazing drive, really sensational.
Well, let's just hope it holds out.
Well done.
Thanks.
Good drive by Kelvin, but some of that paint from moves that he made, of course. Mike Jordan leading, Michael Caine in second place in the TBR, the Viper down to third place. We're riding now with Mike. He's 8 seconds up on Michael Caine. And the markers there of Charlotte Osborne. Ed Horner goes down the inside, and Jordan will go with him and then take him on the rise up to Coppice.
Yes, fairly easy on the power, no major problem. And a lot more grunt in the Lister Storm than in the Par Motorsport Porsche. So he carries on. Mike Jordan in the overall lead, as down in the pit, Shane Lynch with Ben McLaughlin in the pit lane, teammates at Eclipse Motorsport.
Well, the lead of the GTO is being very tightly disputed. Martin Short has it. Marino Franchitti, though, lapping a fraction quicker, maybe 4 or 5 tenths a lap. He's nibbling away at that advantage. 15 minutes yet to go. This could be a cliffhanger by the end of the race. Marino getting ever so close to the tail of the GTO car. Now then, this is Terry Reimer coming back into the pits. He's struggling, chugging straight into the garage, and looks as though that's race over and job done for them.
Yeah, great shame for Terry Reimer. Oh, and problems as well for Neil Woodford in his Ferrari. He spun at Melbourne. Meanwhile, Amanda's caught up with Terry.
What happened? What happened?
I don't know, I'm not sure. I think Adam had a spin, and we've broken something on the car. The car was progressively getting worse, and it was going into oversteer everywhere. It was good fun to drive, but we weren't getting anywhere. People were catching us, so it was like a case of coming in before I threw it into the gravel.
Damage limitation there. Michael Caine trying to limit the damage as well, but not doing much of a job. He's now down to 10 seconds adrift of Mike Jordan in the Lister Storm. And there he is in the TBR Speed 12, chasing Ed Horner and Godfrey Jones. Oh my goodness, what's this? One of the Marcuses off heavily. That is the Shane Bland car, and it's caught light as well. Not a huge amount of fuel on board, but clearly it's ruptured the tanks, and that car is on fire. The marshals will be scrambling to get there with the fire extinguishers as quickly as they can, and I'm sure the medical crews are being scrambled as well to get to Shane Bland.
Well, the red flag coming out, no great surprise that. With 75% of the race distance run, the result is called, and that means that we see a victory in the GT class for the Lister. The Lister winning from the TVR and the Viper in third. The two GT2 Porsches a lap down, like the Purvis Hopkins LN600 Marcos.
In the GTO class, Short and Barth held off Burt and Franchitti by a second, maybe because of that wheel change.
Lawrence and the guys at Lister have just turned it out even better than it was before. It's I think we've got the legs of everybody all the time here, but it's just real sad to have the race stopped. I just hope the Marcus guys are okay. That looked a very big shunt.
A good win, but no cause for celebration at the moment.
No, but the car was going well. Everything was all right for both of you?
Yeah, we've struggled this weekend. Our Dunlop tyres haven't quite been as good as the tyres the Porsches use, but yes, good win, and they all count.
1, 2, 3 and GT finished that way, so the gaps stretch a little. Champion Lockie in 7th, Dave Veltz in 8th.
In GTO, Turner and Horner display Stanton and Hyde in third, and the other TVR crew are fifth.
After an operation on his damaged neck, Shane Bland is expected to make a full recovery, but is unlikely to be racing again this season.
So a slightly sombre end to what otherwise was a great weekend of racing. Well, next week we're going to be off to Scotland at the Knock Hill circuit, so we'll see you then in Motorsport on 4. Bye-bye.
That's next Saturday at 11 o'clock. And for the latest motorsport news and details of Channel 4's coverage, log on to 4car.co.uk. Well, next on 4, a Happy Days double bill.